I want to start by addressing what I'm pretty sure you're all thinking right now, which is, man, that guy looks just like Bruce Willis. And Danny DeVito had a kid. Yeah. Thanks. I actually wish that wasn't very funny. I've always loved joking around, not necessarily always at my own expense. I mean, like anyone else, I was a silly, goofy kid, but eventually it's time to grow up and get serious and get a job. And I did. I got my master's degree, and I went on to get a great job appointed in the administration of a large university. I'll never forget my first day walking into my very own office, and my very own administrative assistant had placed a cup of coffee next to the computer and the newspaper on my desk for me. So clearly in my own head at this point, I'm a pretty big deal. Now, don't let me kid you though. I mean, the job itself was interim, which means it's your job now, but if you suck, we're gonna replace you. So I knew I had to make an impact right away. Early on in that role, I had the opportunity to go to a conference out of state with 7 other colleagues out to Wisconsin, with 7 other colleagues from the institution, and I thought, this is a great opportunity for me to get to know these people. They'll come back, tell my bosses how great I am, and I'm sure to keep that job for a long time. So on the last day of the conference, we had time to kill before our flight left. So the 8 of us went to an outlet mall. Everybody split off and went to their department store they wanted to shop at, except me. I wasn't feeling very good. Maybe too many fried cheese curds or something the night before. We were in Wisconsin. And so I went to the department store that I was sure had a restroom. And a little bit later, as I'm leaving the stall that I was in, I stopped because I heard a weird sound. It was like clip, clop, and I was like, that's a weird sound to hear in a men's restroom. That sounds like high heels. And then I hear a voice from outside go, oh, okie dokie, Barbara, we'll just wait right out here for you. And I was like, oh, man. Is she gonna feel dumb when she realizes she's in the wrong bathroom? But then I kind of think to my hurried entrance into the restroom, and I think, you know what? I don't recall seeing any urinals on my way in. And I began to sweat a little bit, kind of freak out. And then I actually thought to earlier that morning when I was sitting in the lobby with all my new colleagues I'm trying to impress, sitting in the lobby of the hotel, no joke, there was a news story on that day about a guy who had been arrested in a Florida airport for going into people's bathroom stalls. So now I'm like freaking out, like, what have I done? I'm gonna get arrested here. Meanwhile, a line has formed in the bathroom. And there's only 2 stalls. There's the one I'm in and the one that, I guess, Barbara is in next to me. And so I'm like, well, what are my options here? I knew I just had to wait until the line had dissipated and I could get out of there. But in the meantime, what happens if somebody knocks on the door and says, hey, is everything okay in there? Do I go like, just a second? Or do I just like own it and be like, oh, hold on a minute, I'm busy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope she's okay. But I knew I had to take my time, wait till the line clears, and it did. And then I ran out of there as fast as I could, undetected. As I'm running out, though, there's a little boy walking up to the restrooms. And he looks at me, and I look at him, and I was like, yeah, make your own decisions, kid. And I just run out and go meet up with my colleagues. And they're all excited about the clothes they got. You know, they're like, oh, I got this cute little tank top and these capris. Paul, what'd you get? And I was like, not arrested. What? I didn't have to tell them about what happened, but I did. And they didn't have to laugh at me the whole way home, but they did. And they should. But I don't think it cost me any professional credibility or respect. In a weird way, it kind of brought us closer together. I've always been interested in the role that humor and not taking ourselves too seriously plays in our interaction with other people. We live in a world right now where interacting with other people is becoming optional. And people are pining for leaders and mentors who are relatable and imperfect, and God forbid, a little silly sometimes. I know some of you like the stories and anecdotes, but others are thinking, yeah, okay, man, I need to see some like hard data and graphs and charts. So I made one up for you. Every presentation has to have an obligatory chart. But in my experience, how seriously other people take us is inversely related to how seriously we take ourselves. I mean, if we can't laugh at ourselves, there's always someone there to do it for us. And today, people are turning their backs on impersonal and bureaucratic management and leadership. In fact, 60% of millennials are leaving their jobs within the first 3 years because they feel like it's just not a good culture fit for them. And when asked to describe the characteristic traits of the best leaders in their organizations, the terms like work ethic and sense of humor are mentioned twice as often as any other trait or characteristic. Now, this shouldn't be that big of a surprise because some of the greatest leaders throughout history didn't take themselves too seriously. Abraham Lincoln's a great example. He was up giving a speech, and someone interrupted him and yelled from the crowd, "You're two-faced Abe Lincoln!" He could have got mad and yelled something back, or just went on, pretend he didn't hear him. But when they yelled, "You're two-faced Abe Lincoln," he just smiled and said, "If I had two faces, you really think I would choose to wear this one?" Good old Abe. And that's funny. I mean, that's funny for obvious reasons. Too soon? So, I know it's only been 150 years. You're like, take it easy on Abraham Lincoln, man. But I didn't say it, he did, because he didn't take himself that seriously. The fact is, humor reduces social distance between people, and it makes leaders seem more approachable and less stressful, and it's great for organizations as well. Humor increases morale and productivity, and it sparks creativity and trust. But perhaps one of the best things that humor does for us is that it often leads to laughter. And it turns out that laughter is really good for us. Laughter actually increases blood flow in our body, it reduces muscle tension, and laughter actually massages our internal organs. I don't even know what the hell that means, but that sounds great. It's been a while since I've had an internal organ massage. It's like, oh, whoa. I think that was my pancreas. Very nice, right? And you know, laughter actually burns calories. You're burning calories right now. 1 solid minute of laughter can have a similar effect on your body as 10 minutes on a rowing machine. Yeah, now everybody's gonna go home and be like, I'm going to McDonald's. It's good for us. It's good for us. And you don't even have to really be laughing to get those physiological benefits because your body doesn't know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh. And coincidentally, I don't know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh either. So if I say something that's not that funny, feel free to just laugh anyway for your own benefit. Yeah. Great example up front. It's very good. Oh, now you're just showing off. But laughter is really good for us. And you know who gets that? Our kids. How many of you have kids? Or ever were a kid? Oh, some of you. Good, good. Some people are still like, not me. I was born an adult, straight out of the womb and off to my first board meeting. Then to an afternoon spin class. But for those of us who have kids or were a kid, you can notice that kids laugh much more often than we do. You know, the average 4-year-old laughs 300 times a day. The average 40-year-old, 4. And even little babies laugh, which blows my mind. Because I'm like, baby, why are you laughing? You don't even know what funny is yet. Right? But they must just laugh because it naturally feels good to them. At least that's what I tell myself, because I go up and look at a little baby, and then they just start laughing, and I'm like, yeah, they must just laugh because it feels good. Either that or I have met a lot of incredibly rude babies. But kids love to laugh, and there is really something genius about being childlike and finding 300 things a day to laugh about. In fact, I was showing a friend, you know, if you look up the word childlike in a thesaurus, you actually get the word ingenious. And she goes, yeah, man, I think that's ingenuous. And I go, I know, yeah, it's like a homonym or something, it means the same thing. Whatever, okay, I like ingenious, we're gonna go with ingenious, all right? It's fine. But it's not just kids. It's not just kids that love to laugh. In fact, in her book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, a palliative care nurse, Bronnie Ware, said that one of the most common regrets of people in hospice care is that they wish they could have stopped pretending to other people in their lives so often, and that they wish they could just have laughed more often and have more silliness in their lives again. I kept that job at the university and was later even promoted. And actually that year, the vice president asked me if I would host the university's staff awards banquet, which of course I agreed to do, dressed in character as a fictional college 70s basketball star. Because why not? Who cares? Life, like me, is too short. We all have a childlike spark inside of us that we just need to let out more often. An ingenious silliness that is a gift to the people around us in our lives that says, hey, when you're with me, you don't have to be perfect and serious all the time. And when you're around me, we can have fun and make mistakes and be ourselves. Because in the end, life is far too important to be taken seriously.